Welcome back to the Third Party Risk Perspectives podcast series, hosted by Blue Umbrella and AML RightSource. Today's episode is titled Emerging Terrorist Financing Techniques. At Blue Umbrella, we're focused on helping companies manage their third-party risks with technology and due diligence research. We've tapped our internal subject matter experts to provide their views on core concepts, emerging topics, and other things related to improving and building compliance programs. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast.
Welcome to the Third Party Risk Perspectives podcast series. My name is Chris Sindik. I am a Senior Director of Third Party Risk and Due Diligence at Blue Umbrella, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, someone that I think is very much an expert on this topic. She's written about it and has a very unique and interesting perspective. Sakshi Sharma, one of our assistant managers here. Sakshi, I'm very pleased to be speaking with you today. Can you just give a quick introduction to yourself, what you do here at Blue Umbrella, and we'll talk about this very engaging and important topic.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Chris, and thank you so much for your kind words. Hi, I am Sakshi Sharma. I am assistant manager for Blue Umbrella. I have a team of 7 incredible people. I manage monitoring team for Blue Umbrella. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me today.
She's really on the front lines when it comes to helping our clients, looking at potential risk via the media or watch list screening, etc. And for most companies out there, terrorist financing, without a doubt, is one of the key risks that they want to avoid. It's one of those that is, a black flag. You can't do it. You can't do anything even close to it. There are clear lists that you need to avoid certain companies or people that are related to terrorism too. And it's just something that we want to rid the world of, and financing is a huge part of that. So I think it's really important. Maybe let's start at the beginning. What is terrorist financing, and what are some of the more traditional ways, Sakshi, that you know of that these nefarious groups will attempt to gather resources and money to fund their various causes?
When you hear the term terrorist financing, people usually think that it's the dirty money or it's the illegal money that is being exchanged, and then this money is being used to carry terrorist activities. So this is like pretty basic understanding that people have, and they're like always associate this with money coming from all the illegal sources. But there are multiple multiple methods of funding terrorist activities. So, for instance, charities. So, charities, it has this positive aura that you are putting money into a good cause. But charities is something that these terrorists use for funding their activities. So, they organize campaigns through these charities in the name of slain terrorists to raise money for the widows and the orphan kids. So it sounds like a sad story, and people, they give money to these organizations, and sometimes they don't even know that this money is going to be used for further terrorist activities. Then we have like drug trafficking, especially in areas in like southeast areas. There is a lot of production of opium, and these plantations are then sold, and then money is being generated for terrorist activities. In fact, there is a very common drug called Campton, and these terrorists produce these drugs, and they're so readily available, and they're highly addictive. So you're earning money from the production, and then you are also giving these drugs to terrorists, and they can fight for 3 days straight without food or water. Then they do counterfeit consumer goods that are being sold in the dark web. All the artifacts, they sell it illegally on the dark web, and then this money is used for the criminal activities. And there's one more traditional way that a lot of organizations use, especially in areas where there is good oil production. They capture oil refineries, and then this oil is then sold in the black market to other businesses and organizations. Oil is a very lucrative business for terrorist organizations. So these are like some traditional ways they generate funds for their activities.
Mm-hmm. And certainly some of those are well known, and there are headlines about them, just lie, cheat, and steal basically, to gain some of those funds. And if someone is trying to stay away from these activities, it's easy enough if, there's someone that's on a list to encounter them, you just avoid them. But that's not the case in the majority of times, too, where people are being scammed or lied to or, involved in other illegal activities, and they aren't just going to an individual, they're going to a much larger organization that has awful motives behind them. So, just being aware of them is certainly a starting place. But as people learn these techniques that are being used, they stay one step ahead of them. We flag these things. Someone is looking to donate to a charity, make sure that they are appropriately certified by the various agencies. The crime fighters are becoming more sophisticated. The criminals are becoming more sophisticated too. And things are changing, certainly, with a lot of the new avenues that are available, things coming online. So Sakshi, if you've seen things change in the last 20 years or 10 years or even the last few years, how are you finding that maybe financing techniques are evolving?
So the easy access to internet, I believe, is one major change I have observed. So initially, if you go 10 or 20 years back, I used to see Osama bin Laden or other terrorists, they're using DVDs and they're watching themselves on the recorded DVDs and CDs. But now, if you see today's terrorist organization, they are very tech savvy. So easy access to internet without any proper monitoring is one of the major changes I've seen from the traditional way terrorist organization operated. And now if you see today, they have propaganda videos, they have Facebook pages, they have Telegram groups and chats, and they are creating propagandas and videos. If you go and watch one of their videos, you'll actually see how good quality videos they are generating. This is all because internet is easily available. You can get ideas from all across the globe.
Yeah, and I think that that's very telling, Sakshi. And it's not just terrorist financing, it's other types of scams that people are running. They're leveraging new technologies, they're leveraging social media, they're leveraging these new platforms that are emerging, crypto, AI, etc., whatever it might be, to evolve and come up with new ways to engage their audience. It's like any other business where engagement is the key sometimes. Not to say that it's like another business. They're certainly using some of those techniques that we might expect from more mainstream, legitimate businesses these days. And I think it really is a sign of the times, too, where they're trying to keep up with their audience, so to speak. As the youth is experiencing the media and the world differently, they're adapting. So how do you see these changes maybe impacting the youth, the upcoming generations that have to deal with these sort of experiences online or otherwise that previous generations didn't?
Yeah, and that's actually a very good point, Chris. Social media and online gaming, it has become a trend these days, and I have not seen a single person without an Instagram profile. And these platforms, they are being used to lure people, to recruit, and to channel illegal money. In fact, there are a lot of studies that it is happening because there is no proper regulations. Even a minor can create an Instagram account. You can fake your ID and you have your Instagram account, you have your YouTube account, you have your online gaming account. In fact, a lot of times these criminals, they create fake accounts, they connect with people, especially young generation, because these days everybody wants to be a blogger, everybody wants to be an influencer. And when you are hungry for the fame, when you are hungry for that attention, these criminals, they just take this opportunity. They will lure you, they will try to convince you that it's easy to make money. They post a campaign or they just post a news that you can make easy money. They create mule accounts for them as well. And it's very easy to create gaming account these days. In fact, like black dark web is also used. These criminals, they get information from dark web, they create fake account. It's easy.
Yeah, and certainly as the crime stoppers become more sophisticated, they certainly try to keep up as best they can too. It's infiltrating these communication channels that maybe aren't as monitored as other channels are, whether it's a gaming community or an online community, the dark web, etc. It's been in some ways easier than ever to have covert communications and do online recruiting and things like this. And it's a very connected society. And you mentioned you haven't met anyone without an Instagram profile. Today that changes because I don't have Instagram. But certainly these are the places where people hang out. Where are they spending their time? They're spending time online. And again, it's the appeal to fit into their world and not the other way around to engage in some of that recruitment or financing efforts as well. I think another key consideration is that and depending on where you are in the world, I know that there can be a big focus in North America, at least in the US government, on activities in Latin America. There's been a lot of talk about cartels as it relates to the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and how exactly those cartels are being funded. A lot of times it is through bribery. It's not just a bribe that goes into an individual's pocket and then they're having a steak dinner that night or whatever it may be, but they're a part of a larger organization, and that low level bribe ends up in the hands of a terrorist organization. And having those organizations be a part of legitimate businesses, whether it's a gas station or a convenience store or a restaurant, a textile company, whatever it might be, using that as a front to launder the money and be a front for legitimate business operations, having business ID numbers, etc. It can be a fine line between those businesses that may seem legitimate, but looking at the ultimate beneficial ownership or where the money's going, it can be a lot different. And I think that as we look at the influence that this is having on the changes that the audience is experiencing, and as people are being encountered or being approached with scams or ransomware attacks or whatever it might be, scam phone calls, etc. It's awareness of these and having people armed with the knowledge that these aren't legitimate operations, these are scams, and ultimately the money is going to these particular causes that we're obviously trying to not fund and stamp out in as many ways as possible. And the financing goes away, a lot of times they get less powerful. But I think you brought a really interesting perspective here too. I know it's a topic you're very passionate about. But do you have any other key takeaways for our audience or any other material that you think would be useful for people to be aware of as they navigate this topic?
Yes, Chris. If you just imagine a terrorist organization using Facebook, or let's just say a drug trafficker using Snapchat, posting something that, okay, I earned this much money, felt cute, might delete later, it will resonate with today's generation. In fact, what happens is Snapchat is one of the major platform. And I know it will sound absurd, terrorist organization or drug trafficker using Snapchat, but it is happening. So Snapchat is one of the major and very popular way these criminals attract youth. They will just post a big chunk of money and they will post easy money or who wants to make money, and a lot of people will reply to it, especially the young adults or the young generation. They will reply to it. All they have to do is give their birth details, their name, and the drug trafficker or any criminal, they just ask them to hold this money into their account for some time. And this way they create layers and layers. Now these new generation people, they don't know what this money came from. But because they want to sound cool or they want to look cool holding that chunk of money in their group, so they get attracted to these sort of posts. There's also like AI and deepfake these days. It is very easy to create images, fake voice notes, fake videos. Chat GPT, it's definitely a great tool if you use it, but this is definitely very dangerous if we are talking about the criminal organization, because it is very easy to use Chat GPT and create fake propagandas.
It wouldn't be a podcast without mentioning AI in some way or another. And It can really amplify a lot of these messages that are out there currently. I think that everyone has seen by now an example of a deep fake video or some other AI, very sophisticated, very realistic looking video of perhaps a political leader, maybe a video that supports their cause, but it's completely fabricated. Although it may not be a direct call for money, it's really undermining the truth a lot of times, and it's spreading false propaganda. It can get people motivated for their cause in one way or another. So just the whole AI aspect of it, like everything else, it changes it significantly.
Yeah, yes, that's true. In fact, AI and deepfake, it has reduced the authenticity of anything original. It is also used to incite violence, riots, or straight up military coup. In some of the countries, AI and tech and internet, whenever there is any riot or anything like that, internet is the first thing the government they shut it down, because in the implications of these fake videos and news circling on social media or on the news portals. And it is very easy to even build fake websites, not only to incite violence, but to do fraud or scam people.
Yeah, and when you turn off the communications, it's kind of like when the internet goes out at your house. People sometimes don't know what to do with themselves. It's like, hey, well, I was using that for my information and to talk to people. And when that is taken out, when internet kill switch, so to speak, it can cause confusion or misinformation a lot of times, or prevent the spread of true information too.
Yeah, even people get brainwashed, and because you can never know what is the real source or the original source any video or photo is, you don't even know if it's even real. To say the least, it is very dangerous and frightening to just imagine how this will turn out if it gets out of hand.
Yeah, certainly. And who says it's not out of hand right now? And in some instances too. Sakshi, thank you very much for your perspective and your keen insights on this topic. I always like talking with you. Today's conversation has been no exception in that regard. So before we conclude, any final words for our audience?
I think awareness is the key, because technology is developing and it won't stop in future. So it's better you prevent yourself from being used for anything illegal. It's okay to go viral, but it's not okay to go viral for any wrong reason. Before you post anything or before you believe anything on social media or over the internet, it's better you go deep into the original source and you understand that if it is authentic or not. So I think awareness and responsibility is certainly two major things I would say people should be.
Absolutely. Just that innate skepticism can help a lot of time, and for organizations to build a process that has checks and balances in place. Don't leave payment controls up to just one or two people. Have a lot of fail safes that are in there, multiple lines of defense. So, you can make sure that payments don't get into the wrong hand. When I think you hit the nail on the head, where it's awareness when looking at things and questioning it and consider the source, because this is an area that I think people want to do the right things, but they have to have a conscious effort behind that to avoid these more sophisticated scams too. Again, thank you for your time. And our audience, thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. If you're interested in more information like this, take a look at some of the additional episodes in this series where we discuss current and emerging trends in compliance and third-party risk management industry. You can also find additional resources on third-party risk management on our website at blueumbrella.com. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's podcast. If you're interested in more information like this, look at the additional episodes in this series in which we discuss current and emerging trends in the compliance and third-party risk industry. You can also find additional resources on third-party risk management on our website at www.blueumbrella.com. We'll see you next time.